One.
Hi, Wayne. Should we, Susan, do you want me to, or do
Pardon me?
you want me to ask the names, or do you want to?
No, I can do it.
Thank you.
Carol Rodriguez,
Present.
Dan Rosenthal,
Present.
Wayne Flesh,
Present.
Liz De La Cruz, Mike Nichol,
Right here.
Sharon Mitchell,
Present.
Lillian Eunice,
Present.
Lisa Noel,
Present.
Lisa Hotley, okay, who did I forget?
Wilma.
Wilma, I'm sorry, Wilma Schmidt.
I'm here.
Well, we have a quorum, but it doesn't appear we have anything to vote on yet. Did we vote on the November meeting minutes at the last meeting? I know there was,
So Dan, you wouldn't have been able to because there wasn't a quorum in
Wasn't a
December. So you wouldn't have been able to vote on the previous meeting minutes or anything during that meeting.
I think by the end of the meeting, we did have a quorum, but at the beginning of the meeting, we did not.
Nice.
So we probably still need to vote on the November.
And what about
Minutes.
December?
There were no meeting minutes from December because it wasn't an official meeting.
Because we didn't have a quorum.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have a quorum until almost the end of the meeting, so.
So how does
Right,
that,
I
what is the
joined late.
ruling on that? What if we do have a quorum at the end of the meeting? Can we call that
So
a?
only that part would be a meeting. Basically, so for example, if you have an hour-long meeting and you don't have a quorum up until the end, and then you happen in the last 5-10 minutes to have a meeting, only that part is considered the meeting. So in the future, minutes should be taken when there is a quorum, but for everything that's not, there is no requirement for us to have meeting minutes. Because there's, again, it's an informal gathering for you to talk about items related to it.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I just wanted to welcome Christine Woody to the meeting with Empower Missouri. She's going to speak a little bit about the Elderly Simplified Application Project later in the agenda. So welcome. Do I need to formally open the meeting? I always forget.
Call the meeting to order.
So Dan, you would have done that when the quorum, the roll call was taken. Basically, you called it to order then.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Dan. Did you guys mark me present? This is Cookie.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, we did. So the first agenda item is Missouri Master Plan on Aging. Are there any updates? Anyone who's involved in the Missouri Master Plan on Aging?
You know what, maybe I'll just use this opportunity to tell you, because it's affiliated, that needs assessment that that was
Yes.
happening statewide. So that has been completed. We've been sent the data. It took a while to get that county specific, zip code level report back, because they kind of did that as they tacked that on. We have all that data. We just got it last week. It's hundreds of pages. So I'm trying to get with them to see if we can sort of condense that down somehow, like maybe into some, because it's just an Excel spreadsheet with the questions and the answers. So I'm hoping that they can help us put that together in some sort of, infographics, or just, even if it's just bar charts, pie charts, that kind of thing, just to, so we can consume it a little bit easier. So anyway, that's coming. It's
Excellent.
exciting. It's a lot of really great data, but it's a lot. And so anyway, I was kind of hesitant to send it, but I can do that if you want to just take a look at the raw data.
I mean, how long do you think it'll be before you have something that's a more
Out
readable
over the
document?
holidays, the person that we're dealing with sent an email. I
You're
expect
fading
that I'll-
out a little.
Oh, I expect that I'll hear back from her. She was out over the holidays. I'm expecting to hear back from her shortly. So I could wait to see what she says, like if it's gonna be a while before they can, because it's outside the scope of what we contracted for, so I'm just gonna see if they can help us do that.
Lisa, was there anything that stood out to you that you were surprised by or that you feel is particularly relevant to us?
Honestly, Liz, when I started going through it, I got kind of overwhelmed, and so I didn't get really too far. But I could do that. I guess I'm looking for suggestions. Would you like me to do that? I'd be happy to do it and send maybe just the whole report with some things highlighted that if you want to take a look at, or we could wait to see if she can help us sort of slice and dice it a little bit better.
I have something later in the agenda that's relevant. I mean, I'd like to be able to get some form of it with the zip codes for a meeting that we're going to talk about later. So sooner, I mean, if all that's available is the raw data, I'll take it. But
I mean, I can look through it for specific questions or, focus areas. So if it's something like that, Dan, I can look through the report and at least get you some things. But anyway, just kind of mull that over, and let me know kind of how you want to handle it. And I'll let you know as soon as I hear back from her.
thank you. Thank you. St. Louis County Home Improvement Program, research funding and workforce development update. I reached out to Greg Laposa and to Charlene Hughes, and they reached back out to me. And we're going to have a meeting in the next couple weeks to talk about workforce development for home repairs. I let them know that I'll be meeting with Dr. Page, I think on the 16th of January, and that it would be great to be able to report that I'd already spoken to them. So I'm hoping that will encourage them to have the meeting sooner. We had been speaking for almost a year now about trying to figure out how to address workforce development for small contractors dealing with home repairs, and we really hadn't gotten very far. And I started to refocus my efforts on the Home Repair Network, which is a private not-for-profit, and I think that's going to be the vehicle where things will probably get done. But hopefully the county is a partner in this effort, so that's hopefully the agenda. On that note, the Home Repair Network is hiring an executive director. They have significant funding, and I think they've had pretty good response to the application requests. So if you know of anybody that has expertise in administering anything like home repairs, let me know and I'll put you in contact with the Home Repair Network. Any questions regarding home repairs or anything to add about county programs?
Dan, I'll just add, so when you're meeting with Dr. Page, after the last meeting I was at, I think it was November, and I had said, committed our staff to do some digging around to see if we could find a grant that would be appropriate for this. And we have done that and have really not come up with much. So, we'd be willing, if somebody gave us a lead on a grant that was relatable, we'd be happy to help write it, be the fiscal agent if need be, so forth. But
Okay.
we haven't been able to come up with anything on our side.
Okay. If you can give me just a short blurb on that, what you want to accomplish with that. That's one of the questions I'm going to be asking everybody when we get to that agenda item, because I want this commission to really inform what that discussion looks like.
And I was thinking around the research, similar to what was done in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Funding the UMSL team, I think, was what that's what our focus was.
I mean, that was going to be one of it's an ask we made to the county council last year, which was, let's fund a study to basically create an inventory of the housing needs in the county. And, the people at UMSL would be excited to be involved in that. But we didn't get anywhere. So I'll ask again. But that would, so to your point earlier, the survey questions regarding needed repairs would be really helpful in understanding.
And so sort of just to kind of circle back, so those were the kinds of grants that we were looking for to see if we could fund a similar study in the county. So I guess the message again to Dr. Page is, we've been putting effort there and haven't come up with much. So again, having them step up would be best. But I'll dig through that data and see what we can come up with to send to you.
Well, I'm wondering if we are not successful there, if we can go to the Home Repair Network and see if we could get the grants through the Home Repair Network to fund it. But that I can ask.
Dan?
Yes.
It might be helpful when you meet with Sam that you get the study, that you have the study that was done in St. Louis City. So that, he can see that this has already been done and the information was proven to be very valuable, rather than just sort of, that might help.
Liz, last year we shared that
Yeah.
study with him.
Okay.
And I mean, he was impressed by it, but we
Mhm.
didn't get any money.
No. Well, okay.
So, but I think I can bring a copy of that again and stress the importance of it and actually describe what has happened since then.
Exactly.
I think there's a lot more national focus now than there was a year ago on home repairs. So I think maybe people will be more alert to it. Universal design, building consensus on an educational approach.
Dan,
Yes.
excuse me. Susan has her hand up.
Yeah, I'm going to unmute now.
Oh, I'm sorry, Susan.
That's
I was just
okay.
gonna ask you to talk about universal design.
Okay, I'll kill two birds with one stone. But anyhow, my thought was that you cooperate with this home improvement network with the County Commission on Disabilities, because we are definitely interested in that particular avenue. And I think maybe there might be more power in numbers.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
I'll send you some information on the HRN and you're welcome to
yeah.
start attending our meetings and maybe even get on the advisory council.
Yeah, that sounds
We'd
great.
love to have your presence.
Okay, you want universal design update? And
Yes, please.
there really isn't anything at the moment except Councilwoman Clancy has got it. Unless you've attended a meeting in the interim, I don't have an update.
Yeah, I don't have anything new either.
Yeah, so I think we're still waiting for the first of the year for everybody to get together and get in gear.
Yeah. I mean, the last discussion I had with Lisa Clancy was just about, the attorneys were reviewing the wording of the document.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where it's at. We haven't gotten any further update from the Home Builders Association as far as what they want to do. But I think it's going to be more of an educational component in the code than it's going to be an ordinance that's going to be mandated.
So do you know of any meetings that have occurred with the Home Builders Association since we met
No.
earlier last year?
No, not as far as I know.
I thought they were waiting to get the ordinance language right before they were going to present that to the the home builders.
I think you're probably right, and we're still, Craig has kind of been negotiating it with Linda, and I thought you were involved in it as well.
Yeah. They haven't reached out in a while.
Yeah, so I'll keep you
Thank you.
posted. We have our meetings next on the 13th, and I'll
Okay.
let you know if we have anything new to report.
Excellent.
Okay.
We have been, a lot of the home repair issues that we discuss at the HRN are dealing with accessibility. So it would be very appropriate for you to participate in that. We've been meeting at Paraquad and they're a big supporter of the efforts.
Definitely.
Um, The
Yeah.
next item,
I guess just before the holidays, I was asked to help a student at UMSL regarding universal design, what the status was in St. Louis County. And I gave him, my input as well as Tim Wayne Crawford from the Governor's Council. Came from the Governor's Council. And Wayne
yes,
gave his update too. And apparently there is somebody at Paraquat who is, no, at the Starkloff Disability Institute who's taking it over.
excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I worked on that task force.
Oh, okay.
Master Plan on Aging, so I'm heartened to
Yeah,
hear that
he
things are
was a
happening.
nice student, a very nice student, and we just chatted and I gave him my input as far as where St. Louis County was, and he shared it with whoever was taking over for him.
Excellent. Well, I'd love to, if they need any additional help, I'd love to help.
Absolutely.
Pass my name along. St. Louis Elder Financial Protection Coalition and Missouri's Broadband Initiative. Liz, have there been any updates? You might be on mute. I'm not hearing you.
Sorry about that. No, not really. The meeting on the kind of the cyber stuff on the connectivity coincided with our meeting last month. So I haven't caught up with anything since then. Lisa, do you know of anything on the financial protection, or have you got any updates on like your study that's kind of evaluating the grant pads?
Yeah, that's actually, that study with WashU is in full swing. So we are, there's a lot, and I should probably, I'll send you a couple of links once they developed a whole website
Oh, great.
for the project. It's really, I mean, it is such a gift just to have them, helping us and, well, not helping us, we're helping them, but so we'll start recruiting further later in the spring. So it's kind of a long convoluted process with, the folks we inherited from the library and how we sort of, pared that down because it has to be manageable. I think we're going to end up with about 700 people total in the study that will have a GrandPad. And then, but I'll just add too, we do have, and because there's some restrictions, and they're similar to what the library had in place. So there are going to be some financial parameters and some other things around being homebound and so forth. But and I think I probably have mentioned this before, that we're working with AT&T to, I want to say between 100 and 200 laptops that they're giving us for older adults with no strings attached whatsoever. So, and they're doing the same in the city. So that
Lisa, who are you dealing with at AT&T? Because there was somebody that I intersected with on the.
Yeah, it was that guy, Liz.
Okay,
I
great.
think, yeah. So he was at that same meeting you were at.
Okay.
For that task force, I think, and then you put us together, and so I called him, and so that was the outcome of that. So again,
Perfect.
the connection was perfect, and so I think again we just have to do some recruitment for them, but they run the whole program, which is ideal because we don't want to get into the tech business. But so between 100 and 200 people are going to get laptops. So that was phenomenal. So thanks again for that, Liz. And then the only other thing I'll say around that Financial Protection Coalition, we were having trouble with somebody leading that since a couple of us have left.
We're having a hard time hearing you, Lisa. You're fading in and out. I don't know if that's just me or did anybody else.
Could be,
No, I
it
can't
could-
hear you.
Okay, it could be my Wi-Fi, because I'm at home today. So I was just mentioning around that Financial Protection Coalition, we're going to start working on World Elder Abuse Awareness Day.
Okay.
And we're doing that in collaboration with Stiefel and the St. Louis, the U.S. Attorney's Office. So I'll bring more information around that as it happens, but we're hoping to do like an event, like a walk or something, and then maybe light up some buildings like we did last year, purple, and maybe a fountain in Forest Park, that kind of thing. So if anybody has those kinds of connections that I can reach out to, for, buildings or infrastructure that we can, add to the lighting, that would be great. So anyway, more to come on that.
Property tax relief for older adults. Are there any updates, either Wayne or Carol?
The task force, the statewide task force has kind of regrouped again. We met earlier in December. Legislation will be filed again this year. Similar sponsors to last year. There are some concerns because the budget situation last year, I think as we're all aware at the state level, was rather robust. And this year, that's not the case. So I think there may be some paring down on the final legislation as it moves forward, but apparently they're filing the exact same language that was filed last year, and we'll be following that. Session starts. When does session start? Used to know. Next week, I believe, is when session starts. So as we have a little bit more information on the specific language, I will get that to you. I think it's really such an important piece of legislation to expand the guidelines to qualify for circuit breaker. And I know that Silver Hair Legislature, that's a big priority for them. So they're going to be advocating for that and moving it forward. And this coalition is really a very broad spectrum of aging related organizations and individuals from the disability community across the state that are working collectively on this. But I do, in all reality, think it's going to be a heavy lift. So we'll keep you posted.
Yeah, has anything really changed politically since the last election that would lead anyone to believe that it would pass this time? Sorry to ask it that way.
Yeah. No. I mean, I last year, I think the biggest difference is last year was an election year. And when it's an election year, we're very cautious about, the legislature is very cautious about taking on anything that has, that could be potentially controversial in any way. So a lot of legislation does not move forward in an election year. And this is an off election year. So that's one glimmer of hope that this legislation might go forward. Also, it's being pushed fairly early. So if they can get a hearing early in the session, that's all the better. So we'll keep you informed and let you know what everybody can do as the legislation comes up.
Yeah, I would hazard to guess that given the level of confusion that the public has over the tax issue,
So confusing.
That we've already had a tax freeze and now they're going to ask for tax relief, and people are going to confuse the two and not understand the differences. This is just, seems like an uphill battle.
Yeah, it's very confusing, but I think as people start to look at the reality of the tax relief program, the tax freeze, hopefully they'll recognize that this is something very different and specifically addresses individuals that are of modest income and also helps renters, which I think is very, very important. Whereas the tax freeze, as we all know, applies to all homeowners that qualify. No income cap. So.
Right. And we're not, and there's still a lot of uncertainty about even that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it'll end up in the courts. So we'll see.
That brings us to the next topic, which is, let's see, senior tax levy update. We had invited Nicole and Jamie again. I don't see either on So I know that there's going to be another steering committee meeting for the senior tax levy, but I hadn't heard anything new since the last meeting. Carol, had you heard anything? Okay, so we'll table that. Aging ahead and work updates. Any additional updates?
I do have a couple of updates, and let me know if you can't hear me, and I'll turn my camera off. I think I have unstable connectivity today, but anyway, a couple things. We're still looking for a site in University City. So we've met with, and we do once a month at the library, which is very popular, you know, with a meal and a program and so forth, but we really would like to have a permanent site there. So we've met with a couple of churches and just really couldn't get anything to gel. So we're still looking. So if you have suggestions or connections there, we would love that.
Lisa, you might want to talk to Wash U. They have a lot of property in U City, and they certainly could use some community activities. So you maybe can leverage that one.
And then
Also, Fontbonne is now, you know, closed, so there might be something there.
okay, and then my only other update is I have given to my board at Aging Ahead my resignation. So yeah, I'm going to retire in July. So it's very bittersweet, but just have a lot of people in my life that I want to spend more time with and just haven't been able to. So, so anyway, I don't know what that will mean for my role on this commission, other than, you know, we have a internal candidate that has been doing some succession planning over the years, and so she will she'll interview, but we're also doing an outside search, so that whole thing will probably take 5 months to accomplish. So I'll be around for a while, but yeah, just wanted to let you know.
Oh,
Well, but been wonderful on this commission.
Yes, you have. Well, I think we're all speechless. That's a shocker. No,
I've been with Aging Ahead 20 years. I am 63, and my husband's been retired for a while. Yeah, so, and I don't know if everybody knows, I lost both of my parents last year within 4 months of each other, and I don't know, just a lot has been happening, and I just want to make the most of the time I have. So anyway, I'm sure I'll deliver meals or do some sort of volunteering because I can't stay away.
well,
Lisa, you have,
congratulations.
I just want to say you've been a gift to Aging Ahead. You have just been a fabulous leader, and just they have been so lucky to have you, and especially have you in the position that you're currently in. And I hope you will be able to stay on this commission. And maybe Mac can, I don't know. Maybe that's a question for Mac. I don't know, but you know.
Thanks, Carol. Yeah, and I'd love to as an individual. I don't know if that's, you know, and then obviously my successor would be available to be, you know, on the organizational side.
So I have to underscore what Carol has said. One of the things that has made this commission so successful has been the responsive, you know, and willing to take on all that you were willing to take on, and working with the library, and I mean, really, really been.
Yeah, it's
Tremendous
been
ability.
amazing. I you know, I would echo what Liz just said, and also say that whenever this commission has brainstormed and come up with an idea, and somebody says, yeah, maybe we should do that, you're the one that does that.
that's right.
Yeah.
You have figured out how to do it.
We look
And so
up to
we
you.
really cherish your participation in this commission.
I appreciate all of that, but I hope you all know that, nobody does something and, this has been such a group effort that I'm so proud of the work that we've done collectively and will continue to do. So thank you. I feel privileged to have been part of this group and I hope I can continue.
Well, next agenda item, Elderly Simplified Application Project. Christine Woody, I'd like to introduce you again and turn the meeting to you.
Hi, thanks everybody. So I have a PowerPoint presentation that I've been giving to different groups. It's probably about 20 minutes, but I can just jump to the Elderly Simplified Application Project explanation if you want. I wasn't sure exactly what you were expecting or wanting me to do. So I'm happy just to chat, or I can go through, this more like bigger presentation about older adults and food insecurity. So whatever you want.
I think if you could give us an abridged version, I mean, I think we could, can we hand the screen to Christine?
I have a share button on my screen. I can try that and see if it works.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see what happens. I'm also not the most technology savvy, so let's see what we can figure out. All right. Are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect, great. So yeah, I won't go through every slide, but I will kind of do a quicker version of what this is. So thank you all again for having me. My name is Christine Woody, and I'm with a statewide nonprofit organization called Empower Missouri. We're based in Jefferson City because we do a lot of work in the state capitol. Empower Missouri, we really work on community education and policy advocacy on a wide range of social welfare issues, including food security, which is my focus. We also do work on affordable housing and criminal justice reform. So I lead all of our work on food security. And just, let's see. So last summer, we received a grant from a foundation called the Marillac Foundation. They are based in St. Louis, so many of you may know them. I mean, it was a year-long public awareness kind of campaign to really work on the issue of hunger in older adults with a threefold focus. So really increasing awareness of that issue among the general public, increasing benefit program participation among older adults, specifically the SNAP program, which is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. And then in addition, increasing advocacy on a few things to make some of these programs easier to access for older adults. So really seeking positive policy changes to affect that population specifically. So for the last few months, I've been really working on some town halls and meetings to really spread awareness about this. I did speak at the Silver Hair Legislature meeting in December. I've spoken at the Northside Senior Center, which is in North City, City Seniors, which is also in South City. And I'm really trying to meet with specific, like older adult centers, to talk to that population specifically. I've been doing a lot of like SRT meetings, which are much more like the, provider sorts of meetings, really just to spread awareness and kind of get the word out of this. So just a few statistics about the state of hunger in Missouri. More than 11% of Missourians are considered food insecure, and that's 1 in 8 Missouri seniors specifically. It's 1 in 6 Missouri children, which isn't necessarily this presentation, but I think that statistic always just boggles my mind that it's that high, especially for children. So this is specifically a concern for older adults. So in the state of Missouri, about over 170,000 older adults are grappling with not having adequate food or having access to adequate food. And what we're trying to do in spreading, awareness specifically around the SNAP program, which is that Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which used to be called food stamps, that nationally only 45% of older adults who are actually eligible for that program, they're not taking part in it. So almost half of folks who are eligible aren't participating. It's a really small percentage compared to the overall population that access the SNAP program. And I'm sure you all know, nutrition is the key to good health, right? So if you have having difficulty accessing the right food and the right amount of food, you're going to have much more higher likely, health problems. So high blood pressure, heart disease, osteoporosis, all of those things which definitely are exacerbated in older adults. Just a few statistics about how food insecurity affects older adults specifically. There's been a lot of research projects that are done nationally on this, and there's just some percentages that show you're much higher likely to develop a lot of these health concerns if you're trying to adequately feed yourselves with the adequate and access nutrition every month. Just another kind of statistic is that you have much higher medical care costs if you're food insecure, which really highlights the fact that if you're poor and dealing with food insecurity, that you're going to have higher healthcare costs, which is more challenging, especially if you're in poverty and you can't afford food. How are you going to afford healthcare? So it kind of goes hand in hand that your healthcare costs also increase, which is kind of a two-punch. And as all of you know who grocery shop, it's definitely getting harder to be food insecure, right? Incomes are not rising at the same rates as food costs. I went into Schnucks just last month and I ran and grabbed the Prairie Farms milk gallon, and I normally get the Schnucks brand, right? So I bring it up and just check it out, and they were like, it's $7. I was like, oh my God, $7 for a gallon of milk. I about lost my mind. So I was like, no, I need to go take that back and get the Schnucks brand. But so costs for food is skyrocketing, and incomes are not keeping up, especially those who are relying just on Social Security or disability. It's very hard to buy nutritious food with such low incomes. So there are lots of programs that are available to help. I'm sure you are aware of a lot of these, Meals on Wheels, especially with Aging Ahead, and a lot of the AAAs who run those. The Commodity Supplemental Food Program, which is CSFP, that's those senior food boxes that you may have heard about. A lot of those are distributed through food pantries. They're specific boxes of, food specifically designed for older adults. They can go to low-income families. There's the Seniors Farmers Market program, but definitely the biggest and most expansive is the SNAP program, which is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. These are just the statistics of folks who are currently participating in that program nationwide and in Missouri. So over 600,000 individuals in the state of Missouri are on SNAP. And as I said earlier, this is also nationwide. So of the folks who are eligible all across the nation, 88% of them are actually participating in the program, but that is not true for adults who are over 60. Only 55% of those who are eligible are actually participating in the program. So about half of the older adults who could participate in SNAP are taking part in that program. And that's something that we're hoping to address. When I do some of these town halls with specifically older adults, I always ask them the question of, why are they not using the SNAP program? What have they heard about some of the barriers? I won't do that here, but it's really been interesting kind of having some of those conversations with folks about why they're not taking part in the program. These are just the few of them that I've heard, right? So a lot of them didn't even know that the program existed. A lot of them believe that it was just for families that have kids. That if they didn't have kids in their household, they weren't able to participate. There is a big stigma in participating in government assistance programs. A big one is it's difficult to apply, either too much paperwork. A lot of it's online now or on the phone, and it's just a challenge, especially for older adults who may not have technology or be able to be on the phone for that much time. And there's a lot of truth to some of these, but there's a lot of not truth to some of these as well. So it's really kind of trying to figure out to kind of break through some of those narratives that are, pervasive throughout the program and how to get through to that. So we're really working on ways to increase participation through 3 different ways. So we really want to debunk those myths that are out there, really talk through some of those things that people believe but are not really true about the program, provide folks with a direct contact to help them apply. There are programs and people out there that you don't have to go through the call center, which is the Department of Social Services, where many times you have to stay on hold for hours and hours and hours. Initial first step of getting the application can be done through a different organization with a direct person to help you. And then the last thing, which I'm here to talk about, is this easier process to apply and a lengthening the application and certification period. That's the advocacy piece of all of this. So these are just a few of, the myths that we've talked about, right? So a lot of people say that they don't want to take it away from someone who really needs it, that they don't need it. They don't want to take this benefit away. The SNAP program is an entitlement program. Anyone that qualifies will receive the benefit. It won't run out, right? It's not going to run out. There isn't a specific amount that they'd be taking it away from someone. It's not just for families with kids. Anyone who meets the income eligibility can access it. There is a lot of myths about how much benefits individuals could receive. It is a wide range based on income and a lot of other deductions. Some people do only receive $25 a month, but some older adults can get up to $118 or $120 a month, which is a difference. And every little bit helps, even if it is just $25 a month. And the concern of that, you'd be the only one using this program. And 85,000 adults in Missouri and 88,000 adults who have disabilities are part of this program in just Missouri alone. These are great phone numbers for you or other folks that you work with or know that could help individuals apply for SNAP that's not going directly through that main call center. So the St. Louis Area Food Bank is who I usually team up with for a lot of these town halls. They have people on staff that can help people go through the application and fill it out with them or for them on the phone or an appointment. It's a great resource. I think Aging Ahead has a very similar thing where they have folks on staff that can help people do that. Lisa, you can probably speak to that more than me, but there are resources out there that can help people apply for this program. And then the last piece is
Christine,
what was really, go ahead. Did you?
Christine, I was just going to add, yes, we will do that. So if anybody calls our 800 number, we can either do that with them or, send them through to somebody else who can too.
Perfect. And then really what I was going to be speaking about here is this advocacy kind of process that we're working on. So the way that the SNAP program works, it's legislated and kind of created all on the federal level. It's through the USDA on the federal level, and it's administered in the states. In the state of Missouri, it's administered by Missouri's Department of Social Services. And there's a lot of ways that the Department of Social Services can run the program or structure the program differently based on rules and regulations on the federal level. There is an opportunity that Missouri could take that they have not taken called the Elderly Simplified Application Project. Currently, if you apply for SNAP and you're just a regular person, you can apply and you can qualify for the program for 1 year. And at the 6-month point, you have to do a interview and a recertification. So every 6 months, you're kind of recertifying everything. But for older adults and those who do have disabilities who are on fixed income, so no earned income, those who are just on Social Security or just on disability, there's a way to structure the program where you can extend all of those things out. So their income is not changing, right? They're not going to be going out to get a new job or much flexibility in what they're making every month. So if Missouri would follow this Elderly Simplified Application Project, they would be able to run the program for that population where the individual could apply, and once they qualify, they would be eligible for 3 years without having to reapply again. There would be a waiver of that mid-certification interview requirements. And there's a way to do an application that's much simpler, much easier to understand for that population. Missouri is a little different. They do have a 24-month certification period, but they could do it a lot better for that population specifically, make it much easier, much longer application process, much longer certification process, but they have not done so yet. And it's something that a lot of states have done. As you can see on this map, 23 states and Washington, D.C. Do have the Elderly Simplified Application Project in their states, meaning, they have 3-year certification, no mid interview, no midway certification, recertification process, and a simpler application. Missouri is not one of those states. Can be something that can be done without legislative approval. The Department of Social Services just needs to submit a form or an application or like a kind of tweak of how they run their program, submit it to USDA, and USDA will give them the okay to do that, which makes it a little bit easier in the state of Missouri, not having to go through the legislative process. That can take a long, long time to get something done. But it's something that the department needs to do for it to happen. So we are really working on trying to reach out to the Department of Social Services to encourage them to implement ESAP, the Elderly Simplified Application Project. This QR code and this website will go to a link where it would send Director Nodell. He's only in for another 13 days, so we'll switch it when we get the new director, asking him to get his department to do this. As I'm going out to town halls, I also have postcards that I'm having all of the folks that I am meeting with fill out, where I will submit them to him or the new director once she comes in, asking her to do this and letting her know that a lot of folks want this change. So I can get you all postcards if you have people or places that you want to pass that out to. You can use this link or this QR code to do it also online. But it really is just kind of getting a groundswell of people across the state, letting the department know that we really want this to happen and asking them to do it for our SNAP program. And that was a lot of information. I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you very much, Christine. That's a lot of information for sure. That was very quick. Your 20-minute presentation was done in, I don't know, 12 minutes.
Great, look at that.
14.
Christine,
How could
a number of us, Christine, work with food pantries, and we have regular contact with our guests and what have you. And all of the information that you've provided is, if we could capture that somehow and get it together and maybe in some sense share it with those who work in the food pantries and the guests and whatever, it would be extremely helpful. And I think that this idea of debunking the myths, I think we can go a long way in much of that if we get access to this information. So however we can make that happen.
I'm happy to send you this presentation, but we also have a few kind of one-pager kind of informational kind of handouts, probably one that kind of does debunk some of those myths that I'm happy to send to Dan or whoever, that he can send out to you all to then just print off, that you're happy to use or share however you'd like.
Okay. Somehow we need to make that happen.
Christine,
what were you going to say, Wayne?
Yeah, just a quick question. Do we find that many older adults, like people over 65 or 68, are receptive to like the robocalls, so to speak, to give information to them? Or are those people in that 65 to 68 age group and older using the internet to certify information? Are older adults really using technology to get information that they truly need?
I mean, I would think that would be a big barrier. You all probably can speak to that more, but it seems like that's the big barrier. I mean, and pretty much all of the SNAP applications now happen online or over the phone. They used to have, kind of local resource centers. There is some still. I mean, there are a few like local offices where you can go into, but the majority of it is all done online and via the phone now. These big call centers.
Christine, the incoming director of social services, Jennifer Bax, B-A-X, I believe is her last name, but she did a stint with older adult services a number of years ago. So I don't know her personally, but interacted with her. This was, probably 6 years ago. And Lisa may know more, but I think that you may have a very receptive individual to move this forward.
That's great to hear. I would love to find someone that like knows her, that I could get a meeting with her. As I had actually a really good relationship with Director Nodell. And I actually had talked to him about this and was planning on, setting up a meeting to talk with him. And then that announcement came up and I was like, no, now I got to start all over again. So
Yeah, thanks for that, Carol. Yeah, Jessica Bax is a huge friend of seniors, and she, we all at MA4 know her well, and she, she would take a call or email or meeting with any one of us. So
that would be amazing.
Let's put our heads
Great.
together, because she's amazing, and I think we can.
That would be great to hear. I just had a conversation with Director Nodell, like at the beginning of December, and we talked, and he probably knew, which is probably like, he should have said on the call with me that he was leaving, but he didn't make the announcement, so he didn't. But then like 2 weeks later, he was like, we're leaving. And I was like, no, like I just had felt like we had almost gotten there with him.
Yeah,
So
she's one of those people that will say, yeah, let's figure out how to get this done.
Yeah.
Great.
That's why, one of the reasons I like her. So, so let's just let me know. We'll figure that out.
All right.
Yeah.
That is great to hear. I'm very happy to hear that, because I was definitely disheartened like 2 weeks ago when I heard that announcement. I was like, oh.
Yeah. She's very much a can-do person, to Lisa's point.
That's great. That's great. I like Director Nodell. He was really lovely, and we had many great conversations, but he did not really understand any of these programs or how they work. Like, he was just a jolly guy that tried to make everyone happy, but like, he didn't really know how any of these things worked. Right. So I'm happy to hear that she might have a kind of a better sense of like how to do things, right? He'd be like, oh, that sounds like a great idea, but like actually doing anything about it, he had no real sense of that. He pushed that down to the people who are below him, right? And those folks were not as can-do attitudes. They were much more of a, this is too much work. We don't need to do this. This is not good, So I'm happy to hear that she might have a different attitude about doing some of this stuff.
So Christine, our role as the county commission is to advise the county council and Dr. Page and to advocate. And so if there's anything very specific that you'd like us to advocate, we'd be happy to do that. And we have, limited opportunities to get face-to-face time with the council, but we do have one big meeting a year, and we present a report. And if there's something you'd like to see in that report or in that presentation, we'd be happy to do that.
Okay, great.
Any other questions? This is it's been enlightening. I didn't know that the extent of the problem in the state, and excellent presentation, excellent PowerPoint.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Oh, let me see if I can stop sharing my screen.
Okay.
I don't know if I know how to do that. Oh wait, there we are.
Oh, thank you.
Did that stop? Okay,
Yes,
great.
it did. It did. Next agenda item is so I've been, as we discussed in our last month's meeting, I reached out to Dr. Page's office and they responded. I asked if there were any times that Dr. Page would be available to meet. And I invited Wilma, and they responded that they want to meet on Thursdays, and that's the date that Wilma cannot meet. So I grabbed the meeting that was offered to me just because I was afraid I wouldn't get to meet this month. And so I'm meeting on the 16th with Dr. Page. And, in my email, I mentioned some of the things that we would like to share with them. Lisa, I hung that carrot out there about the report by zip code that I thought they would find useful. So I'm hoping I can get something that they would actually look at that was by zip code.
Dan?
Yes,
Make
Liz.
sure that when you talk about that, and I don't know if Lisa, if you can get any information to Dan, that you talk about the GrandPad study that's being done at WashU.
Yes.
Because that that GrandPad program was really, that was funded initially by Sam, and it's one of our great success stories. So he mentioned it when I saw him a few weeks ago, and so that's probably a good idea.
So a couple of things just to tag on to that, Liz. So it's actually, it's WashU's doing the study or working with us on the study, but NIH is funding that for,
Okay.
I want to say 4 years. And in 2026, NIH, the division that does these, this pot of funding across the country, is having their conference here in St. Louis as a result of this and a couple of other things that WashU is doing. So just a, it's kind of a tip of the hat, so the project keeps growing and getting more and more, oomph behind it. But yes, I'm going to work on in the next couple of days, Dan, I'm going to sift through a lot of that data and try to get you what I can.
Excellent, excellent. But yeah, I mean, St. Louis County, gave us a lot of funding towards the GrandPad program, and without that, there would be nothing to study.
Well, and I really think, even Dan, the fact that we as a volunteer commission were able to recognize that value and that need was really, and it's been a unifier in St. Louis County, one of the few.
Right, right. And the fact that even when the funding, was gone from the federal funding was gone, it was this commission that discussed how to keep going. And, and Aging It had, stood up and figured out a way to make it work. So yeah, that's a big success story, and I love to have more success stories. Like to be able to get, we asked for funding, I think, for this study, didn't we? There was some specific item, Lisa, that you asked the county council last May. I don't think we got any money. Is there something, a different strategy we could apply when we ask for things at the county level? We were successful. I think that, we had a perfect storm during the pandemic where there was a lot of federal money that came into the county, and we were able to tap into that money. But without that, ARPA money, would we really have been successful? So what can we do differently if there isn't federal money coming our way? My thought is to focus on the senior tax levy as an opportunity to get funding for the sort of programs we're interested in funding. And so I was hoping to talk to Dr. Page about the senior tax levy effort, but I didn't know if we were ready to talk about that yet. And I was kind of hoping that either Jamie or Nicole would be on the call so I get some advice. I know that, the goal is that the ballot initiative would be in April of 2026. And I don't know if there've been any formal conversations at the county level yet about this effort. And I don't know that it's appropriate for me to jump into a meeting with Dr. Page and spring it on him if nobody else has already. Any thoughts on that?
Dan, knowing that there's going to be this meeting here on 2026, it might be an opportunity to communicate to Sam that, older adults are a big block of voters, and that, getting resources to address their needs should be a high priority.
Right.
Dan,
Go on.
go ahead, Lillian.
No, I was just going to say that knowing that the county council and Dr. Page are all political people to a certain extent, I don't know if we want to work more with the municipalities because the votes come from each of the municipalities throughout St. Louis County. And so if our initiatives, when you were talking about how to maybe get to the county council more effectively, if we being the commission through all the organizations, our great resources, if we work through these municipalities, I think they may see it in a different light because each one of those municipalities influence their residents.
So
And
that's
many of them are older.
that's a good point. And I think the senior tax levy, executive committee is strategizing right now about how to, to put an education campaign together and to, to reach out in various ways. But that's, getting it at the municipal level is really important. So what I'm hoping is that somebody provides us with really good packets to, to tell the story, and that we could carry that to the municipalities as well as to our representatives here at the county level. My question to you all is it appropriate for me to talk about this month? Or should I can reach out to the Marillac Mission Fund and ask if it's okay, if I have permission to mention it yet, since they're funding that. We do have a steering committee meeting for the senior tax levy. I don't remember if it's before the 16th or not, though. I'll make some calls. I'll do that because to me, everything that we've asked for is contingent upon funding. And we've only been successful getting funding for things when there was funding from other sources. It wasn't coming from St. Louis County. It was coming from, some federal grant. So my thinking is that we need to support wholeheartedly an effort to create a funding source dedicated to senior programming. And this is, there was a shot in 2016 and it wasn't successful, and we have another shot, and I don't know if we're going to get another chance.
I want to just share a couple things. So the whole notion of focusing on municipalities there's a good case study is St. Charles County. So the four major municipalities there, Wentzville, St. Peter, St. Charles, and O'Fallon, all over the course of several years have passed some sort of utility bill checkoff program that funds Meals on Wheels specifically. And that's just what they chose to do. So, and it's permanent, and I don't know the workings of how that all happened, but the point being that it started with one, and then others sort of jumped on the bandwagon as we, kind of said, hey, St. Charles, the city of St. Charles is doing such and such. And then so St. Peter said, oh yeah, we can do that too. And it kind of went that way. So I know that maybe there are there county specific St. Louis, are there city specific services in some of the larger municipalities that, like Kirkwood Electric, or I don't even know if that's still a thing. I used to live in Kirkwood, but anyway, I'm just saying that maybe there's some model that's similar to what's happening in those municipalities out in St. Charles that we could replicate.
I would agree. I just think that when the municipalities, like if Dr. Page and each one of those county council people, the votes for keep getting them on the county council and in the executive position and keeping them in those positions come from votes of people in municipalities. And those people are getting much of their information from the leadership in each of the municipalities. And if we can get our initiatives, get a chance to talk with the leadership of these municipalities, then I think that we may have a better shot of getting funding, identifying funding, keeping funding, even for the county council through each of those elected officials to get some funding reserved for our initiatives here.
Agreed. Susan Orton, your hand is still up. I don't know if that's
Yeah,
from
no, this
before.
is something new.
Okay.
I was trying to think along the same lines that you were talking about the municipalities. I know there's a municipal league, that's number one. Secondly, you know, most of the older adult commission members represent a district. And so perhaps contacting your representative on the county council and kind of feeling them out to see, you know, what could be done, you know, through them. That was just a
I did look in my calendar, the next steering committee meeting for the St. Louis County Senior Tax Levy is not till January 28th, so I'm not gonna get any, I'll just reach out to somebody before the meeting with Dr. Page. Any other agenda items to present? So far, we've got, talking about the progress of the statewide survey and the report by zip code. Talk about the successes of the grant pads and the fact that, that this NIH funding has provided this upcoming study, and the fact that they're going to have their conference here in St. Louis in 2026 is a big deal. Other items, I mean, is there something specific? I don't like to go into those meetings without an ask. My personal ask is going to be about prepare. And I was going to talk to Dr. Page about, somehow supporting a more global effort towards home repair. We presented this idea about a summit last year, and there was discussion about it, but it didn't really happen. And the Home Repair Network, which is I think a more robust organization, I think has a better chance of getting something like that done. But it would be great if the county can't lead it, then the county should at least participate in it.
Dan, you may want to, you brought up the question earlier about, we've asked for funding, but we haven't gotten it. And
Right.
I think at the county level, things don't move real quickly. And sometimes I think we would be served to have a better, stronger advocate on the county council, and maybe need to do a bit more follow-up to an ask. I think it would be good to follow up with Dr. Page again on that ask, just reminding him that we asked last year and still would like to see that go forward, and just see what he has to say again.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. We have to be persistent. Every time I have an opportunity to see Dr. Page, I bring it up. He's probably sick of hearing it from me. When he's attended some of the STLCO 2050 comprehensive plan meetings, and every time I see him at one, I bring it up. What the answer I got before the election was, it's an election year. We have to wait until after the election.
It's after the election, we can ask again. So, I mean, I think it's appropriate, and, he has a whole lot on his plate, and we need to continually remind him that these are important issues for older adults and for our commission. So.
And that there are others of us stepping up to fund the
Yes.
ongoing services. All we're asking is one time, so that we can be good stewards of the funding that we have. So we need to know where to focus. So, the program can be sustainable, but we need that upfront one-time hit.
And Dan, I would also reiterate or reinforce the fact that this commission has gotten the support of the county council, so that we work with the county council and Sam, because I think if something comes directly from Sam, there are a couple of hard no's on that county council. So if we can have it kind of come from not only Sam but also from the county council, then we're going to have more success.
Well, I'm going to review the committee of the whole report that we did last year where we had
Mhm.
specific asks in it. And to Carol's point, I'll just be the squeaky wheel.
And and Cookie, we haven't heard from you much, but I think, Shalonda Webb might have an interest in this, but I think it needs to see what happens with Dr. Page first, but maybe a one-on-one meeting with Councilwoman Webb might
And you know
might
what?
be a good thing following that meeting.
Well, and
That's
maybe
enough.
also Rita Days, because Rita has been very complimentary of what we've been able to accomplish, and she may not fully understand that, how successful that support has been for the community.
That's a really good point,
Especially with the
Liz. She
grandparents.
I was
came
just
to,
getting ready to say, what about Rita Day? Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
she was very supportive and attended the Master Plan on Aging
Mm-hmm.
input session, which I really commend her for being present for that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And she has a meeting. She and Shalonda Webb meet with mayors, like once a month or once a quarter or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that may be of interest to our group in terms of getting whatever funding that the county is either available to receive, or or if they would be supportive if we identify any funding sources at the federal or state level.
She also have town hall meetings, and she specifies certain
That's
issues
right.
and
Mhm.
conversations.
Mhm. If we use the local level because to get to the whole, I think that we'll have an enhanced chance of doing it. Oh, one last thing from me. St. Louis County Community Development has the home repair initiative. I know that you all are aware of that, but it takes so long on a waiting list for people to get homes repaired. Some people have passed away and all of that before they can get any kind of home repairs. I don't know if our initiative related to home repairs or assessment for needs for home repair could be tied somehow to community development block grant funding that the county gets, and they have an office for that. Is that something that could help us to be stronger advocates for home repair programs, especially for older adults?
Yeah, Lillian, addressing the waiting list issue, I think it's, there are lots of reasons why there's such a long waiting list, but when we look at the study that Todd Swanstrom did for the city, one of the big issues was there aren't enough small general contractors to do the work. So
Yes,
what you're
you're right.
finding is not just with the county, with the government supported programs, but also with the not-for-profit supported programs, they all have long waiting lists. And if you ask any of them, they'll say, if we had more contractors that could work in these neighborhoods, we would increase the number of houses that we can get repaired every year. As St. Louis, Rebuilding Together St. Louis, I think, does about 100 homes a year, but they could do 500 homes a year, they told me, if there were more
So
workers.
do we need to start? And I don't want to be too commercial here, but an Angie's List kind of thing from the Older Adult Commission to try to identify artisans that are that can or become licensed, bonded, and insured. Smaller contractors that could do more homes. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the best things, my opinion, because I'm involved in the organization, is that we support the Home Repair Network, because I think they will have a larger voice than we will to do this sort of thing. So, I mean, I would welcome anyone to participate in the Home Repair Network, because I think they're attacking exactly what you're talking about, Lillian.
Okay.
I see that, Susan, you have your hand up.
Susan, yeah.
I can't hear you, though.
Can't hear you. right, chat it, cut the chat.
No. Can't hear you. You send it in the chat and I'll read it.
Yeah, Dan, that was one of the questions I was thinking of, is how do these individuals qualify to be to be a home repair person? Because maybe that is one of the hangups, is that people who could do this, I'm thinking of Habitat for Humanity type, volunteers who might be able to help. There's no place for them to be able to
No, I think there's an application process to get qualified or certified with these different organizations, and some contractors may find that to be a bit of a roadblock. And so that's one of the issues that the Home Repair Network is trying to think about, which is how to simplify the certification process to be a qualified contractor. So, I mean, there are organizations that have developed their own lists. I think that Rebuilding Together has done that. But what we really need is a robust clearinghouse to do all of this, so that there's really one place to go to find out who the certified people are, and to find out who is providing the services, who has the funding, who should I go to that's attending to my neighborhood. So
Dan, going
Yeah.
back to what, I can't remember whether it was Lillian or Cookie who mentioned it, but that might be something that could be helpful to talk to Rita Days and Shalonda Webb when they're meeting with their mayors.
Yeah.
Or is there have we?
I'm going to read what Susan wrote in the chat. The Corp Home Care and Repair and Referral Program has a very difficult time getting repair people to sign up with our program. We can send the workers referrals and help build their business, but they are apparently as busy as they want to be. Yeah, there aren't enough of them. Fundamentally, there aren't enough of them. And the ones that are out there just couldn't be bothered with filling out more forms. It's a huge problem. That's I didn't mean to cut you off. I see Cookie, you have your hand up.
Yes, sir. I was going to ask, could we get how do they go about getting the volunteers from Home Depot and places of that sort? How do they go about getting those? Because the list that the Corp has at St. Louis County, a lot of those lists that they give out, those people do not any longer want to make repairs on people property. And not going off the chart, but some of those people that they recommend, when there's a fee, they're just way over the top. I mean, they charging a whole lot of money for the.
Yeah.
I really think that has a whole lot to do with that.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not affordable.
There are so many factors that make
Yes.
Accomplishing home repairs in the neighborhoods that need it happen. It's availability of workforce. It's funding is always an issue, but serving specific neighborhoods is an issue, and none of these are quick fixes. I believe that the answer is to develop the skills closer to where the work needs to be done, in the neighborhoods where the work needs to be done. And there are organizations like CCDI that, Clayco created this, Construction Training Institute, that they're more focused on, larger projects or bigger companies, but there needs to be a focus on smaller contractors and trades that aren't necessarily union tradespeople. The unions also have programs, but they funnel they funnel workers to large commercial projects. They don't funnel them to residential projects. I'm sorry.
And would it be worth talking to the people at Habitat for Humanity to
Yeah,
find
and
out?
have it, yes, it is worth it. I mean, they have started to do home repairs. But, you know, some of these organizations can get professionals to show up once a year to do a house, or to show up, you know, X
That's it.
number of times a year to do a big event. But, you know, that doesn't solve the problem. That's great, and that's to be encouraged. But this is a more fundamental problem. You know,
Job Corps is
a lot of construction companies will say, hey, we're going to do a Habitat for Humanity house this weekend. That's one house, you know. We have thousands of homes that need.
Dan,
Yes.
Dan, this is Wilma. Do you have a connection with Habitat?
I probably on
I
one of my
mean,
lists. Do you have a name?
okay. Yeah, well, Kimberly has been the head of Habitat for quite some years. I can't think of her last name, but if you don't know her personally, I do.
Okay,
And so I used to run Habitat here in St. Louis
wonderful. Then you should have been speaking
years
on this,
ago.
not me.
No. I mean, years ago. So, but Kimberly has the connections, and the Habitat in St. Louis is one of the largest in the habitat world. And I will be happy to introduce you. She's a lovely person. And if there is, and she's a to-do person. So
Yeah,
if she has the availability um, to meet,
I would love to.
you know,
Let's,
okay,
if you
okay,
can set
all
that
right,
up, I'd love that.
Dan,
okay.
there's also a group that does specifically veterans repairs. And I am blanking on the guy who was running that. But, and that was, I think, primarily in the city. But maybe if we could, maybe one of these guys would be able to kind of, or, you know, help us with that clearinghouse type concept.
Job Corps is another resource too, because that's funded by the federal government. They pay those young people to actually be trained in certain skills. It's skills training, and they are residents there in that Job Corps facility. And those young people, they are trainable, and they do have skills. They're living there. They have insurance through that federal program. And if we talk to them about some curriculum for just this kind of training, and maybe get Clayco and maybe a couple of the others that we've talked about to work with Job Corps for that kind of training, then maybe we would have that incubator project initiated by this commission just for that.
Okay. Yeah, no, this highlights the frustration I have for this issue, because there are so many disparate entities that are working on very important things, but they're not always speaking to each other, and they're not coordinating. And that's why, you know, so Kimberly McKinney is the CEO I found online. So yes, if you could set up a meeting, Wilma, that would be wonderful. You know, and then I know the program manager for the training program at Clayco. I used to work with her, and we spoke last year, but we, you know, unfortunately, we are a volunteer commission. And so we do this in our spare time. So I need to make a concerted effort to try to pull these people together. What I'm hoping is that when I can get Greg Laposa and Charlene on a call, that they can help me do this at the county level. And my biggest ask will be, can you participate in the home repair network? You're probably all sick of hearing it, but it's my mantra, because It is
That's great.
designed to be the clearinghouse.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of these organizations that I have, I created an Excel spreadsheet last year when I started, dipping my toe into this. And I have about 30 entities on that list. And I tried to call myself to get something started. And I need more guns behind me to do it. And I think Home Repair Network can do it.
That'd be great.
So if any of you are interested, you're welcome to call me offline about this organization. But being the architect of the group, that's kind of where my passion is. So next, so I have started the list. Thank you for the insights for the meeting with Dr. Page. I don't think there's anyone here to speak about the senior fund today. Are there, and then Cookie, you have your hand up?
Yes, I was gonna say, maybe we can get together, and put, I don't know if we are even allowed to do that, to put together something for St. Louis County so that they would know how important it is. Like they allocate funds to tear down buildings. This would stop some of these buildings as people age from going to poof. Maybe that would put something into it.
Yeah, I think we have to talk to whomever will listen, and so one venue is the home care and repair and referral program. One venue is the workforce development side of it. The other forum that has listened to this about this issue is the planners at the county level that are involved in the comprehensive plan. And I use that venue as an opportunity to bring this issue up, because we're developing, a 50-year plan or 40-year plan to address all the issues that the county needs to grow, whether it's jobs or land use or programs, transportation, and one of the issues is sustaining existing neighborhoods. So I'll get off the soapbox.
Dan?
Yes.
Just a comment in regards to that last point, because the 2050 plan is really something that is important to Dr. Page.
Yes.
And I think it's important to note that many of us attended the town halls that were conducted and kind of looped some of our requests, which you just referenced in terms of the whole housing issue and home repair issue back to that plan, because I think my understanding from our conversation last year is he takes some real ownership for, having this long range vision. And so maybe building some of your conversation with him around that point might prove to be productive.
And so what would the specific ask be? I mean, is it the same asks? That's a good point. He cares about it. He shows up at those events. I think he's proud of it. But
Dan, I think that ask of the study from UMSL,
Yes.
the $65,000 ask is the
Yes.
one that you need to kind of, because it's specific. It's
Yes.
not a lot of money, but it would help, as Lisa Cole said earlier, to know where to focus our efforts on. And I think that could be very helpful.
And it fits
I agree.
nicely into that long range vision. So I
Yeah.
agree with you, concur with you, Liz, 100%.
Me too.
And it's very tangible, and it's something it's very doable. I mean, we're talking
Doable.
about $50,000 where
it was doable a year ago too.
I know.
Mhm.
And I think,
With ARPA money.
but I think one of the things, Dan, that is that, as Jamie would tell us all the time, is older adults issues are just, they don't get the time and effort. I mean, I know from working on the Connect STL effort with with all the cyber. I mean, if I'm out at the meeting, there's no one there talking about the importance of older adults. There are lots of people. There are 3 or 4 people talking about the kids and about job seeking.
Which is why it's so important for all of us to participate in these organizations that are, where we can have an impact, where we can have a voice. So every one of us is participating in other organizations and trying to be that voice, which is really commendable. Let's pat ourselves on the back.
Well, and I think that's one of the reasons why Sam is and the county council is view us so positively, because we do get stuff done.
Yeah. The next agenda item, I think, Sue Orton, you might have spoken to this already.
Yeah, we did not have a meeting in December.
Okay. Are there any other commission members share outs? Anybody attend a meeting or participate in an event or have an anniversary?
Am I allowed as the 4th District Commissioner to bring up the fact that I learned and I had heard about it? I sent it to you guys, to you and Carol, about the stickers for disability, and I think it's
Please.
from the police. You guys were going to look into it.
Refresh my memory on it, Cookie. I'm sorry.
A couple years ago, I had heard about it, and now since I'm one of the commissioners, I think it is a very good thing. So it needs to probably be pushed more on if a person is in a wheelchair or oxygen. They have these stickers that are coded, so it's not like all your information out, and they can put it in your cars. They can put it in your on the windows of your home.
Yes.
I think those people that are disabled like that, they have hearing problems. That I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, I when you say push it, and how?
Well, like you had mentioned back to me that you had not heard of it or heard about it. I have found that a lot of people have not heard anything about it.
So how can we get the word out?
That is my question to you, because the last conversation was you were going to check into it.
Okay. And I
Cookie,
apologize.
where do people get
The
stickers?
information that I heard is through the police department.
Yeah, it sounds like something both the fire department and the police department.
And I was
are
just
aware
going to
of.
say the fire department.
Yeah.
And also I learned that when I did the tour out here in North County, that Chief Kevin of the Spanish Lake Fire Department, he told every one of us that they have these boxes where they can come and put in your home, like if you got these kind of problems, where they wouldn't have to knock your doors down and that kind of stuff, like a protection to see and check up on you. I think that's something that's not put out. They're also out here in Spanish Lake, they were doing and installing 10-year, 3 is the limit, smoke detectors. I think that kind of, I mean, it seems like small, but if it's a life you save or a speedy time, I think that's a good thing.
Could I
A
ask
lot of
you
people are
to-
not aware of that.
if you can send me a list, because I do have a lot of emails, but it's hard to kind of digest everything. I would ask you to send me a list with the programs that you want to be better advertised. And I think if I have that list, I can try to maybe put it on the agenda with Dr. Page and say, how can we better communicate to the public that these things are out there? You know,
Okay.
because I think it's more than just one program. You have, alerted us to a lot of programs,
Well, thank you.
and that's helpful. But I think what we need to do is think globally. How can we share the information? And there are probably resources, if people think about it, and they can probably just type in, senior programs, St. Louis County, but people just aren't doing that and doing the research. So if there's a way, we need more brain power on this about how to communicate that these programs are out there and better utilized. And this is, in some ways, similar to what Christine was talking about, that SNAP's out there and not everybody is partaking for a variety of reasons. So, it would be,
I think a kind of part of one of the a program that I know Cookie might have been aware of, or we were told about, was that the fire departments do ask that people who need extra help in an emergency, that they notify the fire departments so that they know that that is a situation to be aware of.
Yep, that's
So,
right.
it's,
My soapbox is the lack of coordination around these things. That is just mind-boggling to me. And so, Cookie, as you were talking, I was thinking, Susan, I guess the functional needs registry is not a thing anymore.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, because
Tamara?
that's where all of that should happen.
So it was taken away from CORE because they took away the staffing and the funding for it. But then the health department was supposed to be taking it over. And the last time I checked, it possibly exists online only, but there is no publication of it or advertising of it or anything. It's kind of an in name only program that's out there if you want to get online, and if you run across it and you get online. I don't honestly know if anything's done with the data that's gathered.
Right. So you can register if you want to be.
The last I checked, you could register, but I have no idea what they do
But
with that
nothing
information.
happens. And so that's another bigger picture issue that people don't know about. A
Well, I think-
functional needs registry was
Yeah.
funded.
what's
and
the
nothing has
name of the registry? Again?
It's Access and Functional Needs Registry. And if it still exists on the website, and I haven't checked in a few months, but if it exists, it's under the Department of Public Health.
Mike,
That's
do you have
where
something
people
to
should,
add?
that's where
It is not,
local-
it is not staffed. It's just an online platform which eliminates a lot of access for people who might need it the most.
Well, and the first responders and other service providers that need to know who are the folks that when there are things happening, they need to be attended to immediately, or that they can put some sort of notice on their door, or with the things that Cookie was referencing. So
I also
why does
don't
that not
believe,
happen?
yeah, I don't believe they're working with the Office of Emergency Management at all. And so those are the people that need the information, whereas the Office of Emergency Management was critical in the development of the original registry, because they're the people that are the experts on it. We were the keepers of the information. They were the users of the information. So
The problem, and one of the biggest problems isn't so much registering, but it's keeping that information updated. You don't want
Yes, sir.
incorrect
Yes, sir.
information going out in times of an emergency.
yeah, Mike ran the registry for a while, so he knows a lot of the issues with it.
Mike, could you
Oh, yeah.
send me a little blurb on that? Because I'll put it on the list to discuss with Dr. Page. Because it seems
Yeah,
like a
let me
pretty
see what I-
important thing that has fallen through the
I
cracks.
think that would be I think that would be a huge help for not only the older adult community, but the disabled community.
Yes.
And it's also, the registry originally was designed so that if parents were caring for a severely disabled child that might need help evacuating or sheltering or something like that. So or a one-time thing, the person that lives by themselves breaks their foot and can't, their mobility is very limited for a while. It was, it had wide use and wide application, but I can promise you that it is not that now. What it is, I don't know, but it's some kind of software that the health department is using, and it has nothing to do with emergency operations, so.
It
And
had a
with
lot
more
of-
severe weather, it's power outages. I know anyone who's dependent on oxygen. That's that kind of stuff is very, so that.
Is this something that as a commission, it would be beneficial to have someone from the department speak to us about? I mean, this used to be
We could
something
try.
that was, Mike is smiling.
The
I
city of
mean,
St.
it really
Louis,
could serve a huge purpose, and I think speaks to the issue that Cookie brought up. And it really was this kind of collective way of, I mean, in theory at least, of having people registered who did need special assistance, and then emergency personnel would reference that and respond. Anyway,
who is
I
that
don't
person?
know. It might be.
but
if we
also,
could
it
request to
could
speak-
serve so many purposes, Carol, I think to your point that, even just getting one-time sort of resources to people that, we could target things. And I know the city of St. Louis does a functional needs registry, and I believe it's still operational and works, relatively well. I don't know. So somebody from there could come and talk to us too.
The program had a tremendous amount of potential for good, and it was never fully realized. Never.
Yeah. And I think, Mike,
For
that's
any
why a
number
lot
of
of people don't
reasons.
know much about it.
No, no,
That it's fallen.
Who would
they
we,
never did.
do you know who Mike or Susan, who we would contact to see if maybe we could get someone to come and speak to us about it?
Yeah, I don't have any idea.
I mean, I
Susan.
can try to track it down through the Department of Public Health
Okay.
and see if I can get a contact person.
I mean, to the group, does this seem like I think it would be
Think
of
so.
value, because we
Yeah.
certainly have identified it as a problem with a solution that used to be out there that,
Fix it.
yeah. Thank you.
I mean,
I also found in the community, when we were doing the Helping Hand for Christmas, you guys probably already know about it. It's a person out here, quite a few of them, but one in particular that needed a medical bed. And because she didn't have spin down type of ability or something, they wouldn't get her one. So I researched and found that there's an organization out here that helps give to them medical equipment.
Yes,
And
St. Louis
keep it
helps.
until, yes, they keep it until they can't use it. They're just asked to give it back.
Well, and as part of that, I know that Mercy is starting this, my neighbor refers to it as hospital at home. And it came out of the whole COVID thing when people needed help and they or on a repeated basis, but that they could receive it at home and didn't have to be hospitalized. So now Medicare is willing to pay for that. And so there are visits being made to individuals at home.
Yes.
So that's a new development that
So-
kind of would.
Medicare is out. They're also cutting a lot of stuff, so that would be another reason why people will need it.
So
Well,
Dr. Kanika A. Cunningham is the director of St. Louis County Department of
And I
Public
do
Health.
know her.
Is that the person we should be inviting?
If you could get her, good luck. She is the one. And she may not even know about the program because I mean she's been there what 3 or 4 years maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I found out through
And
Councilwoman Webb when we have the meetings out here and people were asking different questions and the support that Councilwoman Webb brings with her. She didn't know some of it, but she brings the people that can get connected to things. And I think that's what makes her so popular.
Yeah. So I think it would be useful to have a person and hopefully the leader speak to us, and it'll give us an opportunity to ask some of these questions. Let's do that.
Okay. Do you want to try to do it for February or you want to move it to March? What?
Maybe, what do you got? What do you all think?
I would say March because
Yeah.
I mean we're already in February,
Right.
you know.
Yep.
So I would say March.
Okay.
And
I will be out of town on the March meeting, I think. I'm not sure. Let me check. But
and
yes,
unless you're
let's try to,
taking
let's do
us,
it for,
I don't want
let's
to
do,
hear it.
what now?
I said unless you're taking us with you, we don't want to hear about it. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to be here, but I think we should schedule it for March either way.
And you want
Um,
Dr. Cunningham?
Yes, if possible.
Yep. And that
And
gives
let's-
me time to get my list that Dan requested me. to
Thank
do.
you. Thank you, Cookie. And I
Thank you.
apologize for not responding earlier.
No,
I think we should also make sure that we are continuing to invite both Jamie Opsal and Nicole Brugman to our meetings.
Okay.
Because I think they could report, even though Jamie has retired from the senior fund, she's still involved in the senior tax levy effort. So it'd be useful to hear from her. Let's see. Any other share outs? Any other points that you think that this has been a really productive meeting? And I want to thank you all.
That's been great.
Yeah. Well, one thing that when Cookie said something about Medicare, I mentioned to Carol before the meeting started, is that open enrollment saw a record number of calls for the state of Missouri for Medicare information, unbiased Medicare information. And the Missouri SHIP had over 6,000 calls for assistance. The vast majority came from St. Louis County. So the need is there. There is now a cap on medication costs for all folks on Medicare. So $2,000 max. Now, in response to that, the plans have upped their premium, have changed their formularies, the list of drugs that they cover, because they're anticipating, well, one, the $2,000 cap for 2025, but in 2026, most of the medications that you see on commercials like Eliquis and the other ones where people are dancing because they have diabetes, okay, those are going to be limited. The federal government is finally negotiating. So you're going to see a lot of changes in Medicare, and that's one reason you see what people are saying is a reduction. It is more the push that the plans have to get everybody on Medicare Advantage plans. So anybody that has an organization that wants to hear more about the changes in Medicare, I am booking opportunities to make presentations. So the Missouri SHIP is is up and running and working constantly. That's all.
Thank you. Are there any other comments?
Dan, can I also mention a couple of things?
Yes, please.
I've seen where I think it's the 6th or the 7th. I'm going to say the 6th, where the core people will be at a library on Lindbergh from St. Louis County, and they're looking for volunteers, but they'll be at that library on Lindbergh.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Next
that's
Monday.
That's next Monday, and there are over 200 people registered that nonprofits are going to be at a volunteer recruitment fair. So I know CORE is going to be there, Missouri SHIP is going to be there, and several other organizations. So, and we just got a bulletin about the weather and that fair. So if the library's open, they're going to have it. If the library closes, it ain't going to happen, and
But
they'll
will they
reschedule.
reschedule it, Wilma? Would they be rescheduled?
Yes.
Because I thought that was really good. I plan on attending that.
It should be, yeah, it should be a good event,
Yes.
and it is going to be at the Clark Library Branch, formerly known as the headquarters, and it should be nice. So,
What is this event? I'm sorry, I missed that.
it's a volunteer recruitment fair. So nonprofits in St. Louis County have been invited to this library event, and it is next Monday. And
Tuesday. Is it next
no,
Monday?
it's Monday.
Okay.
Next Monday.
Because I got the flyer. I can send
Yeah.
Yes,
From
I've
1
made a point
from
of
1
putting
until 3 o'clock.
Okay.
From 1 to 3 o'clock.
So CORE actually approached the library with this idea. And our idea is if it can be successful on Monday, that it will be like a moving opportunity fair. So instead of just doing it at Clark, then we might go to North County and do it at Larson Valley, or go to West County and do it at Sacs or South County, wherever. But to move it around so the agencies will have the opportunity to, recruit volunteers throughout St. Louis County, not just make everybody go to the Clark branch to find out about this. So hopefully.
Would that be an opportunity for home repair? To find people who would be able to volunteer for home repair?
They could, yes, they can definitely volunteer for home repair. That's one of the things CORE is looking for. So I don't know, I'm not sure what our volunteer coordinator has actually been the one that's, she spearheaded it. And so I'm not sure what the other agencies are looking for, but it'll be a wide variety of volunteer opportunities for sure. But yeah, we're definitely looking for people that would like to get referrals from our program, so.
Well, so Dan, isn't that something where you should, maybe you could tell the people who are on that home repair network to say that that's an opportunity to find volunteers?
Okay, well, Monday's closed. They're not, but they
Yeah,
can't sign up for that anymore, but as long as it's semi-successful and the library is willing to do it, or is willing to put the work in to do what needs to be done, to do it in other areas. And then I think it can be evaluated and see how it can be made better the next go around. So I think
Yeah, and the Home Repair Network is really a fledgling organization to be the clearinghouse. So it's not looking for volunteers as much as it's looking for participation from organizations.
But then would that also be a way to get, as you guys were saying, something else that would be more stable through St. Louis County with trying to get funds from them?
Well, I think the place to get funds, the place to go would be to the representatives and to the executive. And to BAG. But I think this event, is anybody, so Cookie, if you're going on Monday, the 6th,
Long as the weather let me.
if the weather lets
Yes.
you, could you report back to us at our February meeting about what you thought about it and how we could better participate next time?
Well, I will be there as well, and
Okay.
so will CORE, Aging
Okay.
Ahead.
Mhm.
So it should be a really good event. United Way will be there. The NAACP will be there. So it's a tremendous list. Um, and so we'll be able to do that, right, Cookie?
Yes, ma'am. I will, long
Okay.
as the weather permit and God say I can go.
All right.
Cause I was gonna go, I had already looked into trying to go, and I think I forwarded that to you guys sometime early AM this morning about it.
Well, I got on New Year's Day, you sent me something
Okay.
that evening, so I
Yeah,
just
if I don't
forwarded
do,
it.
and please apologize, cause for me, I'm having to apologize, cause if it hits my mind, I don't want to forget. So I don't want to be calling people. So I get up early and do those kind of things. So if you see something 2 a.m, it's so I don't forget to do it.
Okay, I won't respond at 2 in the morning.
No, I don't plan. I'm just letting you know why you have an email. Something
Okay,
that's the reason.
thank you. Our next meeting is February the 6th. And do we want it to be face to face, or do we, that's going to be probably the most miserable weather of all of our meetings. So maybe we stick with the WebEx on February the 6th. Do we agree? Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
WebEx.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Thank you for a productive meeting and Happy New Year. And we'll
Happy
see
New
you in
Year.
February.
Sorry, Dan, you
New
have
Year,
to do
everyone.
a motion, a second, and for adjournment.
Do I have a
Yes.
motion we're going to be stuck on here all day unless I have a motion.
Okay, I move that we adjourn.
I
Is there a
second.
second?
Wilma, will you
All in
give me?
favor?
I'm sorry, Wilma.
Aye.
Thank you.
Hi, Miss
Bye-bye.
Wilma, can I call or text you because you got a lot of info on that county meeting?
Yes.
I mean,
Okay.
okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
I'll call you. All right.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Love you
Bye-bye.
guys. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Be
Happy New
careful
Year.
out there.
Uh-huh.
Bye.
Bye bye.